Dr. Dana Tassone talking with participants in HFT 4295 about Chapter 8, which is called Managing Technology and Marketing Systems. By now you probably should have had a course in technology, a full course. You should have had a full course in marketing as well. And you know that I had mentioned to you, probably many times, that the key driving force, and you have discussed this in your discussions as well, key driving force in our economy, in our industry, is technology, finally. I'm here to tell you that was not always the case during my career. But technology has now found its way into our industry, and this is a good thing. And it's not displacing jobs. In fact, it's creating more work. They said at one time that technology would remove paper from the organization. You all know this is not true. And you know that the technologies you're working with in the workplace, when you compare them to the technologies available in the university, are not the most up-to-date types of things. And the purpose of this chapter is not to discuss the latest and greatest technologies. In fact, it doesn't even touch on the actual technologies. It doesn't touch on the push and play types of technologies that we have available to us. Instead, it presents you with a thinking of the backbone that makes this technology happen. And it's just an overview of that backbone. And the reason that you want to know the backbone of this technology is so that you can discuss it with techie people intelligently. You will find yourselves, you probably already have, in a position where you will ask for some piece of technology. A tech person will come over, rattle off a bunch of acronyms, and use those to describe why he or she can't do what you're asking for. When that happens, you just jot down what he or she is saying, and say, okay, let me get back to you. You look up the acronyms, and you identify what they're all about, and you ask the techie to come back, and you say, in my case, that's not really how it is. In my case, you can do this for me because this, that, this, that. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're at the mercy of the techies. And for that reason, you have to have background information. And again, this is something you don't commit to memory. You only commit it to memory, I guess, when you take your quizzes. But it's something that you will look up when you need it, because it's never going to go into your long-term memory like management practices will. It's only going to go into your short-term memory, as is the case with any mathematically oriented type of thing. I got to tell you something too. My training, of course, in technology was prior to some of the wonderful things we have available today, and so my training was all about coding. And most users are not asked to code these days, but just the other day I was, a few days ago I guess, I was trying to manipulate something, and the GUI, the graphical user interface, wasn't working for me, and I had to use code to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. And that's code I learned a long time ago, and it's good that I knew that, because that's the only way I could accomplish my task. And another situation is when your graphical user interface crashes or goes down, you'll still be able to manipulate computers using code. So this chapter is really about IT and IS, information technology, and information systems. Information technology is hardware and software that generates digital outputs that we can use in the work of hospitality. IS, information systems, are when you network the IT units together to create a system of technological assistance in whatever it is you need to do for your functions. We include the marketing functions in this chapter because the marketing field has witnessed the greatest impact from advances in technology. And so the chapter begins the same way you started your tech course, your IT course, with computer basics. It goes into the hardware and software. The tables and the graphs are not the most current, but they're probably you're probably working with the types of hardware and software coding and connectivity that is listed in those tables. And then I go on to describe software for you. I give you a table associated with that. This chapter really is really about the framework of technology and the acronyms. This is like the ABCs type of things associated with technology. And then we go on to talk about enterprise telecommunications, which is the opportunity to, both within your organizations and outside your organizations, use your systems to interact with, communicate with, or communicate with various entities. You get a figure 8.1 that shows the supply chain, shows the suppliers, the employees, and the guests of a hospitality entity. It shows you the back office interfacing with the front office, and it shows the internal employees and remote employees, how these systems are designed for them. You don't see any of this. It's happening for you because of the ease of use for technology. But that's really what's happening. When you go to your portal for your workplace or the portal for the university, you point and click, but this is really what's giving you your information. Intranets, extranets, those types of things. And I go on to talk about the interface of telecommunications with the business model, which has to do, again, with marketing. And you've all heard of e-commerce, and e-commerce is has just revolutionized our industry in lodging, travel, tourism, attractions, entertainment, you name it, and it's just revolutionized that. And the things to remember about e-commerce is that you have business-to-business e-commerce, B2B, 8.3 is what I'm looking at, by the way. B2B e-commerce, you have B2E e-commerce, which is business to employees, that's when you go into your portal or whatever, and you have B2C, business to customer, in our case, guests, interfaces. And it shows you the layers that exist to permit this type of telecommunications, and it goes on to explain what that's all about. Then you start getting the diagrams that they look busy, but they're really pretty simple in theory. You just follow them from up to down, left to right. Follow the arrows, and you'll see that in the back of the system you have supply chain management and electronic data interfaces, which are driven by your ERP, which is your enterprise resource planning system, and that brings together the transaction processes from the back of the house, or the back of the system, into the front of the system, which is the part you see. And what that gives us in terms of marketing is customer relationship management systems, and I'm sure that you see those in action. Maybe you don't see the whole systems, but that's what we use to drive the industry these days. Now I go into a description of management information systems, and I give you a table that shows you various management standard reports that are presented for information to know where you are in terms of business. Talk to you a little bit about online analytical processing. This is the acronym for the most modern online applications processing is changing, but the concept is still the same. And another factor that you want to think about is decision support systems. When you talk about revenue management, that's a decision support system. When you talk about yield management, that's a decision support system. It's not automated decisions, it's information that you need to give you the intelligence to make sound decisions in your organization. Go on to talk about artificial intelligence. It has not come to where it could have been by now because of human resistance, behavioral resistance, as well as costs. Artificial intelligence you'll see it in the years to come. Artificial intelligence will be a mainstay in our lives, both personally and professionally. Then I get specific with that service enterprise management systems, and you have diagrams that just draw you pictures of all those things, the hierarchy of those things, the relationship of all those things. It covers all of the functions. You have an example of a PMS at a hotel front office, and it shows you the interfaces between housekeeping, engineering, all of those areas, guests, and all of that is all laid out in pictures for you. It shows you a POS, a point of sale network. Those of you in the food and beverage side of things work extensively with those. Matter of fact, it probably causes terrible heartache when those systems crash on you. And of course, if you work in a lodging facility, a full-service lodging facility, you're interfaced with your PMS system. So you have the POS system interfacing with the PMS system. And the PMS system, of course, contains the portfolio, which includes all of the guest transactions, and they're all automated now. Believe it or not, there was a time, you'll talk to another old man, and he'll tell you, there was a time when all of that was done manually. That's when a night auditor's job was a nightmare. It's still a nightmare. It's not as bad today as it used to be. You get a sample of a restaurant POS system in terms of the networking of one. You get POS interfaced with EDI. EDI stands for electronic data interfaces, and that's where you hook up with your vendors, and it provides you with automated inventory control and purchasing processes. So the chapter is just an overview of everything you learned in your technology course, and it just shows you the behind the scenes, the stuff you don't see. It shows you what's really happening when your parents first used computers back in the 80s. There was no point and click. If they wanted to use a computer, they had to learn code. They had to learn what were called commands, DOS commands, Unix commands, and they had to enter that stuff in order to manipulate the computer, and that made it like a big, scientific wonder. And then in 1993, the first graphical user interface, Windows, most people call it, Windows came out, and that's when point-and-click environments started to occur. Those evolved and evolved into, right now, the current Windows platform. The platform is what you see, but what's going on behind the platform, if that platform crashes, what you're going to see is a DOS platform. It's a direct operating system type of program, which it just looks like a screen, a green screen or a white screen with and it has a blinking cursor. You have to type in letters. A lot of people don't believe that's true, but that really is what's going on. The technology, and you learned about Moore's law probably. The technology doubles every 18 months. The half-life of technology is 9 months, and so that shows the rapid advancement of technology, but the backbone, the driver of the technology really hasn't changed, really to any degree. And so that brings you Chapter 8 in a nutshell, and we're out of time, and I'll see you in the next clip.